Hey guys, welcome back to Pillbox Movies. I'm Hank, and today we'll be watching the 1996 American erotic thriller, Crash. Crash is the film directed by David Cronenberg. David Cronenberg is one of my favorite erotic horror sci-fi directors. To a certain degree, the man defies category. Crash is about I'm guessing people who get off from engaging in sexual acts during car crashes? That sounds profoundly dangerous to a square like me, but I'm excited to see what this movie holds. Yeah, let's take a look at the movie and see what comes up. see what comes up. And before we begin, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe if you want to see more old, obscure, and art house films. Oh, Jesus. David Cronenberg manages to make ideas that are sometimes questionable sound riveting and well thought out. One of his ideas that I don't think is too contentious, but it doesn't necessarily fit the modern palette, is that he doesn't believe in credits set in motion with the film. He believes in having credits separate, like a conventional film credit to a movie where there's no action, there's nothing happening on the screen, and he believes that this kind of sets a mood, an atmosphere, a patina to his films. But these 90s graphics, I don't know about that. Holly Hunter's getting naked? Okay. No, that's not Holly Hunter.
Can we please get your stamp of approval on our little Steadicam shot?
My boy's eating ass.
Of course.
What about your camera girl? Did she come?
Oh, yes, she did.
I had to go back to the set.
Poor darling.
I low-key hate James Spader, but okay. Maybe I just don't know his work well enough. We'll see if this manages to clue me in on what fascinates friggin' Gen Xers about this man. That boy dead, Jesus. That's why you put on a seatbelt. Oh, Holly Hunter. I love you, girl. Oh my god.
Not a lot of action here.
Consider this to be the airport hospital.
Wow. That's just fucking cold as shit.
Victims. After being bombarded endlessly by road safety propaganda, it's almost a relief to have found myself in an actual accident.
Okay, pause for a second. It's just, David Cronenberg, man, just he has a weird kind of construct of his kind of protagonist. This is also obviously in part a work of J.G. Ballard's, but the kind of prototype of David Cronenberg's protagonist, the man beset upon, the man on the run. We see this in Videodrome, in Scanners. These protagonists are so paranoid as a baseline, so intensely suspicious of any sort of governing or controlling body or authority. It's fun, but it's weird to hear James Spader's character, James Ballard, decry government programs on driving safety as being propaganda. Intense libertarian vibes. Holly doing her Richard II. She will not be stopped. Holly's Hunter's approach to character work is just so intense and focused. It's the best version of a class president attacking a role.
Crash victim? Yes.
These fucking sounds. Jesus, that is some fucking good. That is some good makeup.
I don't like the idea of you getting into a car so soon.
Yeah, please
I can't
don't.
sit on this balcony forever. I'm beginning to feel like a potted plant.
Fucking libertarian. I'm like, is this a movie about sex, or is this a movie about fucking, like, weirdo radicalized people who just, like, want to go out there and fucking inflict harm on others? Spookily intense Holly Hunter. That's how I describe her. Spookily intense. One of the more beautiful noses in our generation of actresses.
I had the extraordinary feeling that all these cars were gathering for some special reason I didn't understand. You bought yourself exactly the same car again.
Americans do love their routine.
We're close to the airport garage. It won't be busy this time of day.
This is a really interesting score so far from Howard Shore. I'm trying to remember if this is like in the vein of Naked Lunch around this time. Maybe. Because with Naked Lunch, he like put in some kind of like Arabic, North African kind of influences to the score. I wonder if there are traces of that in here. I'm supportive of it, but I'm not like on a base level. I wasn't interested in seeing my mom, Holly Hunter, in this position. She's Jane Craig. She's the prototype for Lisa Simpson. Come on.
These were the confident last words of the brilliant young Hollywood star James Dean as he piloted his Porsche 550 Spider race car toward a date with death. 1955.
That's fine. He spoke to you at the hospital.
I thought he was a medical photographer.
He's just a sex pervert.
Colin Seagrave. He will drive our replica of James Dean's car.
I've seen the Siskel and Ebert review of this movie, and so I'm aware of Ebert's kind of reading of this film as kind of discussing the mechanics of pornography in film and in culture. I just need to acknowledge that I'm aware of that reading, and it's kind of like it's interacting with my viewing of this film, and I have to like I have to try my best to like see it if it is applicable, but otherwise keep it at bay and not try and like have my viewing be kind of overridden by this by this interpretation.
Here we go. The fatal crash of James Dean. Okay, let's wind it up.
But like interacting with the ideas of pornography and also the ideas of like filmmaking, like what this crash thing is simulating is a desire to replicate the authenticity of real life, of extreme and like kind of like instrumental experiences. To a certain degree, to commodify it.
James Dean died of a broken neck and became immortal.
It actually, for my view right now, it's actually kind of like an interesting interaction with consumerism in the 90s, that they're like purchasing these like already expensive things in vehicles and also getting like the best models and most pristine solely for the purpose of like
No, it's not the police, it's the
crashing them and
Department of
destroying them.
It's a big joke. They have no idea who we really are.
this kind of like accelerant consumerist need to like meet a hunger, a growing kind of dissatisfaction, and the only way to satiate it is by throttling these huge, costly, extravagant machines.
I could resist.
Rosanna Arquette has never showed up in a movie without some sort of illicit narcotics in her thrall.
Work out the details. Jane Mansfield crash with you.
And it's immediately back to work. That's kind of funny. In their desire to like escape the cycle of
The decapitation.
like boredom
Embedded in the
of daily life, they've turned their kind of like their sexual desire, their desire for spectacle itself into another job.
This is my new project.
Jesus Christ.
You recognize her? That's Gabrielle.
It kind of follows in like, you know, the Cronenberg kind of script of like these kind of like these suspicious young men who kind of like become radicalized by a group.
So here you are at the nerve center.
It's such a fascinating interplay because like you never know if Cronenberg in kind of like exploring these narratives is actually like interested in the lurid spectacle itself or in the interaction that spectacle has with the audience.
It's something
Like I don't know
we're
if
all intimately involved in.
Cronenberg is necessarily like actually like a neocon libertarian, or if he's interested in how like the libertarian radicalized mindset develops within a society. Like for my mind, his movies presage a lot of the mentality of the conservative movement in the 21st century. Movies like Videodrome really have a key grip on how we interact, how individuals interact with media, with culture, with their own alienation, and through it kind of become radicalized, and especially kind of manifests their alienation as a disregard for other people's bodies and their autonomy. Jesus Christ. Oh my fucking god, these visuals. Beautiful, beautiful shooting. And I like that mix in terms of David Cronenberg style. Like I said before, his script writing, his characters can often be like overly talkative, overly expletive, but he mixes them with incredibly fascinating, surreal, beautiful scenes of like with no dialogue,
Must have fucked a lot of women in that huge car of his.
where you're just immersed in the moment. And then these kind of like talking scenes afterwards are like kind of like an aftermath, a climax, a post-climax, where you kind of like try and resolve these tensions and these excitements, these titillations and thrills that were brought up in previous scenes.
Would you like to fuck him though? In that car? Have you seen his penis?
I think it's badly scarred from a motorcycle accident.
He and his wife,
Is he circumcised?
incredibly open with each other.
Can you imagine what his anus looks like?
Very descriptive partners. This is like, I don't know, cause like I watch Cronenberg films like enough where I'm kind of separated from the history of them, kind of like just enjoy them for their own content. But like I'm watching this and kind of being like, this is his most subversive film. I like can't believe that this was like a movie that like audiences watched en masse in like the 90s. An incredibly different an incredibly different cinematic landscape from what we have these days. But this is like incredibly subversive. I can't, in my right mind, picture these fucking actors getting together and doing this fucking movie in like plain sight. Just like believing in this director's vision enough to just do this fucking movie that would be released in theaters to a mainstream audience.
Do you see Kennedy's assassination as a special kind of car crash?
The case can be made.
Cars are so fucking deadly, man. My fucking god. My fucking god.
Satisfying. Not sure I understand why.
That's the future, Ballard.
In terms of the indoctrination, trying to
The car crash is a fertilizing rather than a destructive event.
trying to systematize
A
this
liberation of sexual energy. Mediating
this
the
spectacle,
sexuality of those who
trying to
died
designate,
with
give
an
it
intensity
meaning,
that's
and
impossible
impart
in
it
any
with
other
like
form.
a kind of like a rigid form.
To experience that, to live that is that's my project.
I feel like such a square fucking watching David Cronenberg movies. The things that interest him are like so foreign to me,
What's going on, baby?
What's going on with you?
are so bizarre.
Kay, you and your friend?
Just being
And I'm kind of just like,
All right, that's cool.
from my point of view, I'm like, I'm interested. I'm interested that you're interested. He paid 60 for full penetration? Oh, what the fuck? You know, maybe it was because of our age, but like, you know, people think that Fight Club was a difficult or kind of opaque film to process in terms of its narrative about radicalization of youth, and the kind of pitfalls of that. But I don't know. In my opinion, Crash is doing the same thing like 2 years earlier. Okay, maybe there's no penetration, and that I think would be also part of Seagrave's character, not Seagrave. That would also be a part of Vaughn's character, that he can't engage fully in the sexual act, that he is a lover of paraphernalia, that is, he's a paraphiliac, because she has her underwear on. I don't know why, but I'm very just interested for theming purposes on whether or not they're having penetrative sex.
A pedestrian was killed.
Vaughn isn't interested in pedestrians.
And I mean, it could be about addiction, like the reckless endangerment of other people, and the kind of psychopathy or narcissism or what's it called? When you think you're the only person in the world. It could be like a manifestation of like addictive habits and personality.
Yes.
The desire to like ascribe meaning and import to justify your addiction.
So now not so fast.
Oh man, I kind of like the human moment that his wife, that Deborah Unger had with the woman. She's living in a kind of different emotional life or headspace than these characters. And I think it kind of like contextualizes that the thing that they're interested in is by design or by nature an act of savagery, of cruelty, regardless of intent. There are people who are hurt by this. David Cronenberg. Mechanical Fascinations, in the same vein as like Michael Bay, the two just happen to go down very different routes.
You couldn't wait for me? You did the Jane Mansfield crash without me? Oh, the dog. The dog is brilliant.
Is his wife gonna die? That's gonna make me sad. In just like one scene, they've managed to like connect her with a sense of humanity and conscience. And now I'm rooting for her. Okay. Now I'm being pressed in perhaps a different direction. I love how slow Cronenberg takes things. He is like absolutely enthralled with like, you're just gonna have to fucking wait your turn. And the car going through the wash is almost like a penetrative act. You can like feel the sensation of like warm water, of suds of fabric on metal. This husband and wife duo, they're just like very in sync to each other's needs. Kind of by design, they're like very keyed in on performative acts for their spouse, for their partners. Culture used to be so different. People just talking about watching Crash out in the open. Ew. Oh, David. Oh my god. That scar, Jesus Christ.
Is there something here that interests you?
And that's how you get them, folks.
I'm caught.
Our boys do be loving paraphernalia. This movie's like a fucking fever dream. Jesus Christ. Ah, that looks so painful. Why you gotta treat it like a vagina? Cronenberg, man, is all about taking you to the limits. He's like, how far do you really want to go? By comparison, like, Shame seems like such an antiseptic movie to me. Like, so supremely interested in only, like, the most, like, softly lit, studio lit version of what extreme sexuality looks like. Movies like this really make me think I need to expand my boundaries just a little bit. Ooh, I like that aspect of the score. Introducing metallic elements. I don't know if he's just like, you know, strumming something along like the strings of a piano or something, but those like metallic sounds of like the wires. It's incredible, demonic, unbelievable climax to a film. And also like playing with the audience's own kind of like desires and expectations. We as a film-going public love seeing car crashes, love seeing like spectacle and pyrotechnics. And this has taken it to a logical and lurid extreme. Ooh, that ass though. Holly Hunter's barely in this movie. Why'd she agree to this role? I mean, it's fine. She can do what she wants, but I thought she'd be in more of this. Holly Hunter really whole ass agreed to do this movie because she loved it. She had to have. She's barely in it. Yeah, there you go. Gonna go have sex with your wife's dead body. That's just how it goes, though. I'm like really, really, really sad that they hurt each other. But it's like kind of a, honestly, like a beautiful couple. The amount of trust they exhibit to each other. You just really don't see a couple like this last throughout an entire movie. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because I wouldn't say like the relationship is entirely symmetrical. Like obviously, James's needs are being met more than Catherine's, or maybe she's into it. I don't know. It's a couple that kind of defies easy logic.
Maybe the next one.
But like an incredible couple, exploring boundaries and exploring like limits and trust. And just like not the permutation I expected by the end of this film. I expected him to like go off with Holly Hunter and she'd just be like the kind of like frigid cast-off wife who wasn't ready to join James into this like this new world of hard or deviant exploration. She just goes the entire way with him. I'm kind of like, was something going on with David Cronenberg in the mid-90s? Like, this and Naked Lunch feel oddly romantic to me. Did he get a new girlfriend, a new wife? And there's aspects to that too in History of Violence, like a couple that like tests each other's boundaries and has to like grow and evolve in order to survive. And kind of in The Fly, though, kind of in a more juvenile way. I'd be so interested to hear what Cronenberg's thoughts are on the movie. I'm gonna wait off on that for a bit. Part of like the charm, the allure of this and his other films is that they are so kind of unwilling to kind of disclose what their thoughts or feelings are about any of this stuff. It's like just up to you to figure it out. And as like kind of like a sheltered homebody, I can sometimes feel myself at a loss, but it's an interesting puzzle to try and figure out and try and feel my way through. If you're the type of person who like immediately resonates with like not just like the imagery but the theming of David Cronenberg's movies, I'd love to hear your thoughts, because I really resonate with the imagery, and it takes me a long time to kind of process the theming and the ideas. In a way, for me, Cronenberg is like his approach to like storytelling and to filmmaking is like a child's or like an inventor's. He kind of approaches material perhaps not on a philosophical or political level, but on a strictly mechanical level. He takes things at face value. He takes ideas that people like and then just puts them together. People love pyrotechnics. People love seeing car crashes in movies. People love seeing lovemaking and sex in movies. Just combine the two. It's a really kind of childlike idea in its approach, similar to what he does in Videodrome, in Dead Ringers. You know, people like TV, people like media, people like torture, people like sex. Let's combine them all and see what the kind of like homunculus that comes out of it is, the chimera that comes out of it is. I think this was like an incredible gothic look into what kind of new breeds are formed by smashing together all of these kind of paraphilias that we have, or all these kind of like loves and obsessions that we have, smashing them together on a base level. This is kind of like about the experience of having your world flipped upside down, of seeing kind of like the dark mirror of the world that you were already living in, of seeing like 3 times the amount of cars you saw before the crash, gaining this like kind of new perspective and kind of being and becoming entranced by it, becoming hypnotized by it, and intoxicated by it. Whether you read into that like the narrative of addiction, of pornography, of radicalization, of indoctrination. Yeah, this is for me like the story of people taking their pleasure or their needs to the absolute maximal limit. Our like body's desire, our human desire to expand and experience, and also to like exert control, to take this like incredibly chaotic event of a car collision and ride the line of being in control of that event and relinquishing control to that event. A movie of hard limits. There's a lot in this movie, and I'm surprised that it was in public discourse in the 90s, like mainstream public discourse, because that means that people went to go see it. I mean, not always. There's plenty of films that are in the public discourse that people haven't fucking seen, and that's just like so fucking stupid to me. But I have a feeling that people went to go see this movie, even if they won't admit it. So yeah, that was Crash. Wonderful addition to Cronenberg's filmography. I think it's his most subversive by far. If only because it so closely interacts with our real world. It doesn't give you the excuse of psychotelemetrics or teleportation machines or heroin fueled automatic drug writing. Like, this was real life people out there in the world, you and me, middle class Canadians and or Americans, exploring sexuality, exploring bodily autonomy in a kind of real, accessible way, and that makes it so fucking dangerous. Yeah, my brain's overheating. This was a lot to handle. There's just so many ideas in David Cronenberg's movies, and he's so resistant to saying them out loud. So yeah, check out Crash. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. I don't know. I kind of need to watch this again. And until next time, keep watching good movies.